the director of organizing at Housing Conservation Coordinators. I helped write some of the tenant protection platform for Zoran's team during the primary, and then more recently was named to the transition team. I think the transition work in general, the top line I would say was light, and I would say so far I'm really thrilled, at least on the housing side, at the picks, especially Sia Weaver as the director of the mayor's office to protect tenants. I think most people in this call know her as someone who's been organizing with tenants and tenant movements for more than a decade here, is someone who is extremely aligned and really effective. That office, unfortunately, Adams cut all of the staff lines. So right now it's literally just Sia. I think the first battle will be filling it out and getting people who can make it run, but definitely excited for what's going on in the future there. Similarly, another person I overlapped with at UHAB was Dina Levy was named HPD commissioner. Again, couldn't be more thrilled. I haven't worked too much with Dina, but I would say I had about 10 people text me, this is the most brilliant person I've ever worked with. Particularly excited there's someone in a tenant organizing background. She was the director of the organizing department at UHAB, who can speak to both, all of the tricky and intense questions about finance and bureaucracy and logistics, but also comes like extremely rooted in that tenant organizing background. Have been really excited to work with both of them. I'm a Pinnacle tenant, and we have been pushing pretty hard for the past few months to get the previous administration and now Zoran's team to intervene and to have been met with partners who kind of sat down and said, "Great, like it's going to take a lot of work, it's going to take a lot of organizing, etc. But we want to help do this." Has been a remarkable change. And then Leila Bozorg as the first deputy mayor. Haven't worked with her previously, but met with her as part of a group of the New York State tenant block. And I would say the top line thing from that is that she said she really wants tenants to be and tenant organizations to be in the room when they're crafting their housing plan over the next few months. People asked her about her, working with the Adams administration. That's obviously something that makes people uneasy. Her response to that was that she was brought in by Maria Torres Springer, someone who had been a mentor to her and she worked with closely for a very narrowly defined goal. And the minute that the administration started to get, a little crazy, those were not things that she was supportive of, and that Zoran is the mayor and she's excited to execute his agenda. My understanding of some of the inside baseball for her pick is that there were a number of candidates, and this is just off my own like rumor mill, so take that with all a grain of salt. Layla had a really expansive view of what HPD should do, not just what it's done under previous mayors, but it should be involved in a much broader range, kind of returning to a more expansive vision, rather than people who had been like, all we should do is the stuff we've done. All we should do is rezonings and deals and facilitating development, which is obviously one big piece. Overall, and in my experience as a Pinnacle tenant organizing, I'm really thrilled and excited that there are so many strong organizers who get that things need to change. And I would just say again on Sia, I know some folks logged on later and missed it. She is the only staff person in her office, so just have a tempered. I think good to keep the inside and the outside game. Like yes, contacting Sia, Layla, whomever. Also, it can only happen if there's a high profile fight and well organized on the outside. So both and.
Should probably about do it for Charlie's time. Caitlin?
Yeah, raise a red flag about Layla Borzag. This isn't a secret, but she was literally knocking on doors at Fulton, which is I'll just say I'm part of the Chelsea Public Housing Coalition. So Fulton, Elliott, Chelsea is threatened with demolition. And not everyone might know that by related NYCHA. Fulton, one of the buildings at Fulton is scheduled first along with Chelsea Addition, where the seniors are living. And Layla Borzag literally left handwritten notes at our tenants' doors, knocking on a Sunday night about relocation concerns. And I just want to say it set like chills up our spine throughout the community, because here and then that week she got announced to be the deputy mayor for housing, and it just sent a really concerning message to us about Mamdani, Mamdani's pick. And of course, we're so thrilled about some of the other appointments, but this one was really concerning, and it made us concerned about the position around NYCHA more generally, because we know this is the blueprint for NYCHA throughout the city, and Fulton Elliott Chelsea. That literally, again, Sunday night, she was knocking on doors of tenants in one of the buildings. I know you can't answer that, Charlie, but I thought I should just say it out loud. So yeah, thank you for.
I'm all for Dina Levy. Dina Levy and I go back 15, 20 years being in the streets together, working together. So Dina is the best choice I've seen so far. I do have some criticisms about Steve Banks and his role and this extra title of Deputy Mayor for Health. What does that mean when you have a Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services? Also, they were announced together. So does that Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services have to answer to Steve Banks? A lot of my work revolves around homelessness. I haven't heard much about a commissioner for the Department of Social Services. I'm in favor of Molly Park staying there because I think we're at a critical time that we're in. And if you remove that person and put somebody new in with the government cuts that are coming down, we're going to be in trouble in the city. So I'm all in for keeping Molly Park. And I just drafted a letter sending to both Layla. I sent it to Helen Ortega. Anybody who wants to listen, I dropped that letter in the mail because I think it's important to retain her. But again, I just want to say thank you, Charlie, for serving. Sometimes we get these announcements and everybody gets keyed up, but I appreciate your honesty saying, you know, we didn't have much to say, right? Like, and that's not your fault. Like sometimes they, you know, it's I call it theater, government theater sometimes, right? And I think you can appreciate the way I'm phrasing it. I'm not targeting you. That's not where this is coming from. It's just, you know, sometimes our government puts on theater. Right?
Definitely agreed. And I would just say about Steve Banks, my only interaction with him has been through this Pinnacle bankruptcy, and it was very positive because to have the city's top lawyer come on and say, what can we do to support the tenant organizing here was a very fresh experience that I felt positive
Charlie,
about.
he's great. He's great as a lawyer, don't get me wrong. And his role as corporation counsel is perfect, but he gets a lot of credit from the de Blasio administration saying he reduced homelessness. From my days going back to Picture the Homeless, homelessness has only gone up in the city. So it wasn't reduced. And I think that's where I'm looking at this through a lens of homelessness and the problems that we have in the city with respect to that. So thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Any other questions?
We have John and Charlie. Do we have time for one more hand? Because I see John and Labor's
John.
hand.
Yeah. Hi, John. Go ahead.
I don't have a question. It's more of like just like a statement. As far as the tenant stuff that I'm seeing, I like what I'm seeing so far. My fear is the whole new developments, and I'm not hearing enough about affordable, deeply affordable. I'm hearing a lot about just like the YIMBY build it as much as possible, and then everything's going to work out. And that's kind of like I'm just scared of that. And people I'm speaking to are kind of feeling the same way. Like this whole supply side thing, I haven't seen how it's worked so far, and I don't think that on steroids is really going to do that much better. But
Yeah.
We,
If I can just have one quick request, I know it's silly. Could we call her Buzzard rather than Layla? I don't want to be slapped with, you know, carrying those policies, and you know, I am not a supply side first type person, and I did not slip any notes under night chat tenants' doors the day before Christmas.
Anybody else that I miss here?
Some of my comments are going to be a repeat from before. I didn't talk much about Sia Weaver. I think the office that she was appointed to, and Charlie brought this up, is an office that wasn't funded under the de Blasio administration. So there was one person working in the office, right? So you couldn't be very productive. So the question for me is that office going to be financed, right? That's a budget issue. When does the new budget come out? So I don't see the effectiveness of that office until down the road. That's if and when it gets funded. So we have to sometimes critically think about some of these employees.